Hi there, I'm Alex from the Southern Ukulele Store, and this week we're just going to take a look at 5 really cool, really sexy AnueNue ukuleles that people ask me about every day in the emails and on the phone. And I just want to take the opportunity. I've got 5 of the most desirable AnueNue models in stock at the same time. I'm going to play them all for you back to back. We're going to talk about them. Have a look at the chapters section below the video if you want to skip ahead and miss the talking, because I totally understand. Sometimes you just want to hear them side by side. We're also going to take a look at some ukuleles for the first time today. We've not featured a singer ukulele by AnueNue before, but the staff here, we're all really excited about the singer ukuleles, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the kind of difference in opinion people have about them, as well as featuring the all solid mahogany model, which really impressed me. And then we're going to look at the UT5K, the all singing, all dancing 5A Hawaiian koa. Wow, when you see it, ukulele as well. So, you know, tune in, stick around, and let's begin. The first ukulele we're going to look at today is the Singer RT1M. This was the model that most excited me about the Singer series when I was looking at them initially, because it was the most affordable. But for me, it has a completely iconic, timeless 1930s onwards guitar look to it, which I think divides ukulele fans. A lot of what draws people to AnueNue is the look. So the sleek look of a Moonbird ukulele is undeniable. It's very hyper designed, aesthetically pleasing. It's got all of those modern design elements that most of us are drawn to. Now personally, I'm not that big a fan of the look of a Moonbird. It's not the ukulele I look at and go, that's the one for me. Probably because I'm left-handed, I'd be playing it upside down. You know, if it was the right way around, I might have a completely different opinion. But I know that I'm not alone. There are plenty of people out there that have not bought an AnueNue because they look at it and they don't see themselves playing it. And the portion of the audience that feel that way are quite often the portion of the audience that are drawn to something like this. And I think AnueNue have done a fantastic job here of, this feels like an AnueNue. It feels like all of the other high-end AnueNues. And it has a modern build, an undeniably modern build to it, with a really nice high-gloss finish. And if you look around it, it's flawless compared to many other instruments at the same price. But it does also, from a distance, it does also at first glance look like something that someone would have played 100 years ago. So that surely is a good enough reason for these models to exist. Although I have seen a few people kind of say, I'd never buy a Singer. And they're the same people who would buy an AnueNue. So all AnueNue are doing here is branching out, reaching more people, and who can blame them? So the RT1M is all solid mahogany with a tobacco sunburst finish. It's a really lovely mahogany, actually. Mahogany can look really boring, especially when you stain it. I've seen guitars, I've seen ukes over the years that just look a bit insipid underneath. There's no grain. But the 2 RT1Ms I've seen so far have all had a really nice figuring to them on the front and back. Something about how they're glossing it is very even. You've got the sort of 2-tone sunburst here, so you've got an orange, almost amber colour centre, and then they've done another darker brown spray around the outside. And it's funny that this is figured wood, because the whole point of sunburst being introduced on guitars, you know, 100 years ago, was to hide the fact that they weren't using pretty pieces of wood. So it's a good balance when you get both, isn't it? You've got a stylised abalone rosette. You have this high gloss finish as well, which carries through onto the back of the neck. So the neck is glossy. It feels very different to you know, a Moonbird in that respect. You obviously have a normal shaped ukulele here as well, whereas the Moonbirds, which we're going to look at later, have the cutaway. You have an ebony fingerboard and bridge, and it's a tie-on bridge. AnueNue have not done too much to change the bridge. It still feels like an AnueNue bridge. And you've got the Singer headstock with the Singer inlaid there in pearl, and you have Goto planetary tuners with black buttons. This comes in a very cool British racing green coloured hard case as well. So if you're somebody who likes the blue hard case, the orange hard case, the unique kind of package of an AnueNue, then, you know, rest assured they've still got you covered with the Singer series. I love this. I'm going to play it for a while now for you. So let's give the RT1M a play. See what you think. Next up today, we're going to take another look at the AnueNue UT214. The 214 is the Cedar bird. Now, everyone knows the moonbird. The cedar bird is much more of a modern invention. I think that they've been around off and on for about 18 months at the time of filming, but actually in such small batches that many people didn't know they existed. We first featured one just before Christmas. It's been probably the most popular AnueNue of the last year, and with good reason. This cedar is stunning. Western red cedar, really tight grained cedar with Indian rosewood back and sides. You have the classic moon maple rosette, which is a nice figured piece of maple for the rosette, which plays into the body shape as well, because it's not a perfectly symmetrical rosette. Plays into the asymmetrical design of the body, which is elongated and kind of thinned in with strips of darker rosewood binding to give it an almost electric guitar shape. But actually it's very conventional in the hands. You have a satin neck, but you have a high gloss finish on the body. You do have front and back binding on these, and you have the ebony fingerboard and bridge. You have the AnueNue headstock with the little man, who I always think this looks like a little man who's having a headache. There's probably a really deep philosophical meaning for this that I should know, and I'm sorry if I've insulted anyone. You've got the Goto planetary tuners, once again black and black. And all of these ukuleles we're going to feature today have got a nice wide nut width as well. If you ever want to know more information about that, and I don't say it in the video, if you follow the links in the description, we always put the nut width and quite often the string spacing for your reference. The Cedar bird, super cool, super sexy. Let's give it a play and see what you think. Sometimes a ukulele is so beautiful that I actually feel guilty pulling it away from the camera, so you have to look at my face. This is the AnueNue UT5K. What makes the UT5K special? There's a few deluxe appointments, but actually at the bare bones of it, you can see why UT5K is more expensive than the UT3K. They use the really figured koa for the UT5Ks. The stuff that's just so hard to get in the modern world. The stuff that tells a lifetime of stories. And yeah, what can I say about it? Just look at the wood on this ukulele. But this is another instrument based on the bird design, which for those of you who don't know was designed by a Japanese luthier. I'm going to butcher his name now, called Mitsuta Morihiko. A luthier, really eccentric, really cool looking. He looks like a Japanese version of Andy Warhol, you know, kind of eccentric, who worked with James Hill and Kahiao and lots of other professional instrumentalists over a really long period of time to design the original Moonbird. And I found it really interesting, you know, the bracing has changed over the years, the positioning of the actual neck, the amount of frets to join the body, all of these things have been tweaked until you have a design that is timeless. And that's why AnueNue are so able to reproduce it with different woods and different aesthetic designs like this rosette, and it still has a completely unique element to it. The UT5K, in addition to just being really sexy top shelf wood that you wouldn't want to show anyone under 18, this ukulele has this gorgeous rosette here. I don't even know how to unpick that. It's a mixture of maple and pearls. Just stunning though, stunning against the backdrop of the orange koa. You still have an ebony fingerboard and bridge. You've got front figured maple binding, back figured maple binding. You've got the gusset binding, as I like to call it. Even that looks really pretty. What a bottom this ukulele has. You have a satin neck. It doesn't have the AnueNue bird planetary tuners. Instead, it has a slotted headstock like the Lion ukulele with geared tuners, SX 510s I think, and once again the slightly wider nut width with a nice wide string spacing. The Bird UT5K is a ukulele to rival even the most prestigious of K-brand instruments. Designed by a master Japanese luthier, there's nothing not to love about this, except if you prefer your ukuleles to look more vanilla, I guess. If you want something that looks flash, you want something that sounds flash, I'm going to show you just how good this ukulele sounds now. Let's give it a play and see what you think. The decay on that note is absolutely gorgeous. Is that coming through the camera? Look. There's just something about the 5th and 7th frets on this uke. Our penultimate ukulele of the day today is a ukulele that deserves a lot of credit. This instrument, this model, really spawned everything else that we're going to look at today in some form. Before AnueNue made the UT200, the Moonbird, they hadn't really dipped their toe too much in high-end instruments, but this instrument I think paved the way for a whole series of high-end ukuleles with this bird aesthetic, the Singer series. Perhaps without this ukulele, brands like Flight would not have ventured into the A10 series. There's a lot going for this instrument. This is the AnueNue UT200 Moonbird. It's Swiss moon spruce on the top with that maple rosette that you associate with the Bird series. You have the ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard with the Indian rosewood back and sides. You still have that cutaway with the eclipse moon inlays going up the fingerboard to the Hawaiian headache headstock, the Goto planetary tuners, wide nut width, blue hard case. Wow. Everyone knows the Moonbird. I'm touching on it briefly because I have spoken about this ukulele more than any other instrument that we featured before, but I've talked about the others and I'm going to talk about this one again because you can't deny something that's this good. So let's give the UT200 a play and see what you think. 3, 4. And now it's time for our final ukulele of the day today. This is the AnueNue LION. The AnueNue LION, it looks different to the rest, but I can't put my finger on why. Perhaps it's the bright orange coloured top, which is reminiscent of Gretsch guitars, reminiscent of so many country guitars, rock guitars over the years. but it's still a bird. It still has a cedar top underneath that orange finish, cedar being reflective and loud, as you would have heard earlier on with the UT214. It has a Hawaiian koa back and sides, which gives it less of an immediate sound than the rosewood models we've just looked at, but gives it slightly more of a harp-like quality to it. Think rosewood, think piano, and koa, think harp. That's the kind of Idiot's Guide to the Ukulele. It's the book I'm writing at the moment, not Ukulele for Dummies, but the Idiot's Guide to Ukulele Tonewoods. I'm not really writing a book. You have an ebony fingerboard and bridge with a slotted headstock with the Hawaiian headache inlay. You have AnueNue geared tuners, and this instrument does feel slightly heavier and different to the other ukes we're going to look at today. Just as it's something I can actually feed back to you in real time, I always find the Lions feel a few grams heavier. When we did the blindfold challenges, do you remember those last year? The way that I told the Lion apart in mine was because as soon as I held it, I knew that the slotted headstock added some weight to the instrument. Curiously though, I don't feel that way when I pick up the UT5K, so there's something about maybe the paint, who knows, but just a touch heavier. On the 12th fret you have the Lion inlay. The Lion thing is because there is a very, very famous band called Lion out in the Far East who, curiously here in the UK, it's actually very hard to find Lion's music even on Spotify because there are about 9 other bands called Lion. But they are clearly a very, very big deal in parts of the world that I'm not familiar with, and this signature model is, I mean, a worthy tribute to anyone, really. I'd love to have a bright orange ukulele named after me. Comes in a nice bright orange hard case as well, so you'll always be able to tell which ukulele is yours. Yeah, it's a great uke. It looks cool. You want to hear it, so let's give it a play and see what you think. Well, there you have it, folks. We've looked at 5 AnueNue ukuleles. Which one was your favourite? Please do leave us a comment, let us know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, help us reach more people. And if you have any questions, you can contact me in store at alex@ukulele.co.uk or call me on 01202 430 820. I really hope you've enjoyed the video, folks, and thanks again for watching.